Yeah, you got a little admirer.
Yeah? No. Oh. Jenny, some bloke called Dom. They very, very loved her.
Oh, well, that's nice. How about you? Any news on the romance front?
Not a chance. I think I'm going what you might call my fallow period.
Oh, whatever happened to that new delivery driver that you'd taken a shine to?
What, Ben with the Mahoosive muscles? Well, funny story as it goes, turns out you'd have more luck with him than me.
Oh.
Talk of the street.
Talk of the street.
The talk of the street.
Talk of the street.
The talk of the street.
Talk of the street.
The talk of the street.
Talk of the street.
Hello and welcome to episode 353 of The Talk of the Street, an unofficial Coronation Street casual podcast that might end up recording this longer than Jack P. Shepherd spends in the Big Brother house. I'm Gavin.
And I've got a lovely bunch of coconuts. Diddly dee.
Diddly dee indeed. How are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
I am super.
That's
Thanks
great.
for asking.
You're welcome.
I'm not tired at all.
Okay.
This hasn't been a long week.
No.
I'm not emotionally drained.
And
I am
wobbly.
absolutely in the mood for recording a podcast about a show that I'm currently fairly ambivalent about.
Why are you emotionally drained?
It's just been a draining week.
Right, but physically, but not like really emotionally.
I don't feel like this is the correct time to be talking about that.
Well, you brought it up.
And I was happy to let it go.
Okay.
How are you? What are you not this week?
Well, I'm tired. We started a new auction, and that's kind of awesome because I got to stand up on a step ladder and take pictures of a $1,000 chandelier. So that was fun. It's fun to, get just the right angle to make it all twinkly looking and stuff. So that was fun. And then I had an art mystery, which
An art mystery. I don't know that I have a button for an art mystery.
No.
But I do have an auction talk button.
Yeah. Remember I told you about this? Well, I had these two pastel crayon drawings that were supposedly by this particular artist, this particular Hungarian artist, and yet everything that I could find online for him showed him signing his first name, not his last name.
As is the style in Hungary.
I suppose. I don't know many Hungarians. And it took a long time, and I'm looking at it and I'm searching online and I'm trying to figure it out. And I realized that this artist actually has a connection to Lansing, so that's like, okay, well, this makes sense then. And then I found that he switched from signing his first name in his early years with these paintings that look really kind of much darker and heavier than these particular pastel drawings. And it was in his later years that he switched to signing his last name instead and making kind of like little sunbeams around the B in his name. And once I realized that, confirmed that really was him, I realized that a painting that I had cataloged a week ago was also by him, but it was unsigned. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to update this listing. And then I go to the listing, I go to the description, and I had already written that this particular painting was in the style of this artist. So I was quite proud of myself for that.
And unfortunately, I don't have a blowing your own trumpet button.
There's no trumpets?
I think there is trumpets.
There's
There
a
you
sad
go.
trombone.
There you go. That'll do. I don't want to put a sad trombone there because it's not a sad story. It's a you being good at your job story.
Yes.
And show me another Corrie podcast out there that has a feature where we talk about Hungarian artists.
Right.
I don't think there is one.
Yes.
Shall we preamble, my dear?
Yes, please.
Give us some of that Hungarian Corrie news in Hungarian.
Sprinkled lavishly with paprika. Connor McIntyre.
In Hungarian.
Connor McIntyre
That's probably
is Hungarian for Connor McIntyre.
Got me with
I will have you
technicality.
know.
Damn it.
Connor McIntyre is returning to soaps. No, not as a ghost of feeling.
No.
He will instead star in an upcoming episode of Casualty.
That man must have been in Casualty already.
Who hasn't?
Exactly.
I've been in Casualty. You've
Have you?
been in Casualty. It's really easy to get a gig there as a dead body. Or, as a sleeping patient in aisle 5.
I was head injury number 3. Oh, my head. That's the vibe that I was going for.
Good times, good times.
Indeed.
Jack P. Shepard is currently in the Big Brother house with Mickey Rourke.
Yes, he is.
Months after I said that Mason's Big Brother resembled work, we are truly living in the Matrix.
We're through the looking glass, people.
I feel 100% responsible for both of those men being in that house.
And Jack P. Shepard and Mickey Rourke actually were both lucky not to get kicked out tonight.
I know.
It was Michael Fabricant.
Who I don't know.
It's good that the British public vote the Tory out first, the Tory MP or the ex-Tory MP.
Oh, okay, yeah, fuck him.
Yeah.
I didn't know who that was.
It's the one with the wig. But don't say it's a wig. He doesn't like it when you say it's a wig, except it looks totally like a wig.
It's a hairpiece.
No.
Hair plugs?
Maybe. It doesn't move very much.
Because Jack P. Shepard has hair plugs. And he was quite open about it.
Yeah, but his hair looks like his hair looked. Michael Fabricant looks like that.
He looks like the Green Lantern that Nathan Fillion is going to be playing in the upcoming Superman movie.
He looks like a girl I used to know. But the less said about that, the better.
The better.
It's a shame for Jack P. Shepard. He's not getting the best edit on Big Brother at the
It
moment.
is a wee shame.
Because I would expect him to be kind of full of beans and full of dry wit, as his On the Sofa
Yes.
podcast would suggest. But I don't know, he just seems to be kind of folding his arms and looking glum every time that the camera cuts to him, which isn't all that often.
See?
Oh, that is a remarkable piece of headwear. Really does.
Yeah. Kind of eerie, that.
My mum, bless her, who's been dead 10 years this week.
Yes.
I think that's the emotional draining part.
Okay. That makes sense. I was going to ask you about it. I should have.
Would have said Francie and Josie. He looks like Francie and Josie.
He looks like Christopher Robin.
Ricky Fulton and somebody else from the variety shows in Glasgow back in the day.
Do we want to say anything more about Big Brother?
I'm quite enjoying it. I don't normally watch it. I'm quite enjoying it.
Yeah, it's not my thing.
It's really not my thing either.
It's not my thing. And it's funny because I was talking to the kids the other day about the fact that when I was younger, I watched an awful lot of not this kind of reality show, but like HGTV sort of reality shows, like all the time. Because especially when Benny was a baby, because TLC was like one of the very few cable channels that the hospital he was in had. And I was exhausted. So I would just sit there on the couch in the hospital watching HGTV and TLC and nursing a preemie. So it is weird that I've kind of outgrown that sort of television.
I think we all do it.
Yeah. You know, it's like Project Runway. I used to be like obsessed with that sort of thing. And now it's Bake Off and that's about it as far as like this sort of thing.
I like to watch women on YouTube talk to me about Love Island.
Yes.
And there's a girl on my team who's like 22, 23. Mm-hmm. She loves Love Island. So me and her talk about Love Island.
That's adorable.
And it's not weird at all.
No, of course not. It's a breaching of generations.
It is. It's a hand across the
America.
ages. No, not America.
And finally,
Still on Corrie News.
yes. And finally, actor John St. Ryan, who played Charlie Whelan on The Cobbles, has died of a heart attack. He was 72. So our thoughts are with his family at this time.
Condolences.
Yes. Do you remember Charlie Whelan?
I do not.
He was in a relationship with Bet. And then he like dumped her for one of the other women, which is weird because why would you dump Bet?
Oh, he was a long distance lorry driver.
Yes.
I think
He was a long distance lorry driver.
He looks very much like Theo does in his Corriepedia photograph, except maybe a little bit more obviously gay.
Right, and Theo doesn't have a mustache. He wore a shirt this week. I was happy about that.
He did, but the sleeves were rolled up. Did you notice?
Well, I noticed that it was like half off his body like this to imply that they had sexual relations.
Oh, no, this was in the pub.
Oh.
He had the sleeve of his T-shirt rolled up.
Yeah, this was like a button-down shirt, which was really weird. It was his day off. Anyway, that's Corrie News.
That's Corrie News. Which leads us seamlessly into the feedback section that I like to call Everyone's a Critic. Last week we neglected to say happy birthday to Caroline.
I'm so sorry.
Happy birthday to Caroline.
Happy birthday to you.
And etc.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear
Don't slow down.
Caroline. That's the part where you slow down. Happy birthday to you. There.
Yeah.
Done and
I
dusted.
bet that she's wishing that we hadn't fucking bothered. Then Wendy writes, could you add something to my list? The refrigerator fits in the kitchen now. Thanks very much. I don't know if it does it?
No, it's still in the dining room. You just can't see it because we're always shooting from that angle. That's the wall that we never see.
Oh, did we see it in the kitchen this week?
No, but I think it's still in the dining room.
The living room.
No, the dining room, not the living room. It's like over by the table, not by the couch.
Yeah, I don't think just because there's a table you can call it a dining room.
Well,
It's the same room. It's a room with the stairs in it. That's a living room.
Shut up.
Then Gary writes, good luck. Thanks, Gary.
Thanks, Gary.
Sharon writes, hi, Jack and Vera. Hope you're both doing good. Dorin's back. Dorin is back. And I'm going to be very happy about that in about an hour's time.
He flips over puzzle pieces.
And then tells everybody about it.
Yes, he does.
And when he spots a thin chip, he
That's
tells
a thin chip.
He tells everybody about
This
it as
chip
well.
is very thin.
We'll be expecting some top-notch ad-lib dialogue from him. He's so cute. Abby spent all of our episodes this week saying flaming heck, and I don't believe it. I always said that Kit and Sarah would end up together. Yes, so did we. And it is unsurprising to see that's where that's going. I'm only surprised that it's taking this long. Tim and Sally are going to be the next Roy and Haley with their fostering. Sue Delaney was brilliant with her new dementia storyline. Sad that she's leaving, but I think she will do this justice. Todd's new fella, Secret Squirrel Theo, has lost all these sleeves. It's a shame, I bet he's chilly. All in all, this week I enjoyed Corrie. Less police station, less hospital, and more street, like it should be. Back to the characters that we all know and love. Still my favourite podcast couple. Keep up the good work. Love from Sharon, British Not Racist. Thank you very much, Sharon. And Daisy writes, it's official. I've stopped watching the show, but still listen to the best rundown of a show ever made.
Thank you.
That's us, I think she's talking about.
I think so. I hope so.
She came for the Hungarian art talk. She stayed for the Corrie talk. You watch it, so I don't have to. I can't thank you enough. Just watching Equalizer 2 with Denzel, and in the final scenes, one of the assassins looks like Tim. I've seen all of the Equalizers, and I don't remember that. But I don't think I enjoyed them enough to watch them again.
I remember Tim was in a movie that I watched for Simon Pegg once. It was Tube Tales. Tim is in that.
Excellent.
It's like Brian in the 24-Hour Party People.
That's Brian.
In 24-Hour Party People, which I believe I also watched for Simon Pegg. It was the Simon Pegg filmography year.
I watched an awful lot of movies for Simon Pegg. What's ever done for you?
I don't know, but Stelly hates him and says that he looks like a cotton swab. A Q-tip.
Tommy Fitzpatrick, our sometime correspondent in the list of lists.
Yes.
He hates him as well.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
I've no idea.
That's very interesting. I quite like him. I like him and Nick Frost together. It reminds me. It reminds me of back when Seth Rogen and James Franco were together. Only before we all knew that James Franco was an asshole and an abuser and a sexual deviant.
Keeping it light.
Keeping it light.
Feedback's always welcome. Send us your thoughts and I'll probably read them out. Get us at the talkofthestreet@gmail.com, or our DMs are open at Corrie Podcast. Or we love it when people write actual letters to us, although not enough for me to check the P.O. Box this week.
Oh, no.
Apologies, I'll do that tomorrow. Send us your proper mail to the Talk of the Street, P.O. Box 12, Eaton Rapids, Michigan 48827.
We will accept chocolate.
And please note that we reserve the right to edit feedback, but only in the interest of brevity, and if there's chocolate, I don't think we'll edit anything.
No.
So thank you to Daisy, to Sharon, and to Gary, and to Wendy, and happy birthday once again to Caroline. And now we'll podcast for coffee. Thank you to Alison for her coffees this week.
Thank you.
Alison writes, love the podcast. It always makes me laugh. Thank you both. Well, thank you,
Thank
Alison,
you.
for
Thank
our
you very
coffees
much.
this week. We very much appreciate it. And thank you also to Wendy for our coffees this week. We are twice blessed.
Yes. But you're not drinking coffee, are
I
you?
don't have anything.
What?
Where's my drink?
You don't have a drink?
I made myself a ginger ale soda stream and I don't know where I put it.
Is it there behind your laptop?
It's hard to tell. Oh, I think it might be. That's fine. I'm not thirsty at the moment.
Yes, and I just finished my ruby red grapefruit juice.
And a peach tea as well, and it's over there, and I think I finished it. And a coffee.
The coffee's from this morning, though, yes?
Yeah, but there might be a few dregs in the bottom of it. Oh well.
Oh, well.
I'll just have to go thirsty.
If you're thirsty, you know where they are.
I do. The Talk of the Street is and will always be free on your podcast provider and on the YouTubes, but if you think a show's worth anything more than the time it takes to listen to it, and if you want to show your appreciation, you can buy us next week's coffee by going to ko-fi.com, that's ko-fi.com/the Talk of the Street. You can also sign up to be a friend of the podcast through the same link, where for as little as $2 a month you can get a mention in the closing credits of each and every episode. And if Ko-Fi isn't your thing, we also have a Patreon site where you can show some love. Sign up as a friend of the podcast there at patreon.com/the Talk of the Street. But remember, you can always support the podcast for free and get us in front of new listeners by liking, subscribing, rating and reviewing wherever you get your podcasts. All right, we've come this far, we might as well go on. Shall we dive in, my dear?
Yes, please.
The first storyline this week is Sucks to be a Webster.
It really does.
I'm going to deal with this in two parts. Just to keep you on your toes.
Because it's so doubly sucks to be a Webster.
This was a tricky week to write notes for because there was far too many storylines intertwining with each other. So I just had to do my best. And
not in a sexy way.
No, not at all.
No sexy intertwining.
No.
No.
This isn't sex in the slightest.
No.
Nothing that I'm going to say is going to be sexy.
No.
Unless I say it like this. And then it's quite sexy. On Monday. Oh, no, I can't.
Oh,
do that.
please.
On Monday, Abby's gone to work to avoid Kev and has asked Debbie to look after Alfie. Kev isn't happy about this, or being asked how he is, or being told to take it easy, and he bites Jack's head off when he comes back from the shops and doesn't appreciate being called out on it by Debbie. At the garage, Abby is struggling on her own when Tyrone shows up, ready to work, and not about to quit like he threatened to do, or actually did do on Friday last week.
He
Or
can't
Thursday
really
last week.
quit because he's a partial owner.
Exactly.
So,
They agree that Kev has been grumpy, but he's always been grumpy. Ty pops the kettle on and says that he's going to speak to Kev later. At home, Jack is on his way out, but angry Kev tells him that he's grounded. Jack tries to push by Kev and tells him that he can't stop him going out, and then Kev squares up to his son, just as Debbie turns up. Do you want some? Do you want some? You fancy your chances?
Kev, the kid's only got one leg.
Doesn't have a leg to stand on. I forgot to check to see if that really was a line in the dialogue last week, and nobody wrote in to say yes or no.
Which is weird. 'Cause
I'm sure somebody said that.
It was that or something very similar. But seriously, all you have to do is take the kid's one leg away.
Sweep. Just a
Sweep the leg. Sweep the leg. Has nobody watched Karate Kid lately? Sweep the leg.
I know somebody who has. Jack says that he wasn't going to hit Kev because he's such a pathetic old man, and they bash shoulders as Jack leaves. Before Debbie can start, Kev gets laid into her.
Jack is taller than he is.
Tells it to fuck off. Debbie's taller than
and
he
he's
is.
only 14.
Tells it to fuck off. So Debbie fucks off. Kev goes to the pub and shouts at Glenda when she's reluctant to give him a pint. And rather than saying, "Hey, wait a minute, pal, I'm the woman who's going to bestow alcohol on you.
Right, yes.
You treat me nice or you drink somewhere else."
Yeah.
I think is the rule.
Yeah.
But Glenda's far too nice. Tyrone comes in later and tries to have a word with Kev about yesterday, but Kev just wants everyone to mind their own fucking business. Tyrone mentions the row that Kev had with Jack because he heard from Fizz? How did Fizz find out? Who knows?
No. That's not the thing that he found out from Fizz. It was something else that he found out from Fizz later.
He's found out from somebody. Somebody's spoken to
Debbie.
Abby or whoever.
Debbie to Abby and Abby to Tyrone, I believe, is the chain of command here.
And Tyrone reckons that Jack was right. Kev is pathetic. So Kev punches Tyrone in the face. And Glenda bars him, which she should have done to start with.
Correct.
Back home, Abby is fucking furious at Kev about punching Tyrone and reckons that he's lucky the cops aren't here to arrest him. Cancer or no cancer. She tells him his approach could be gentler. He's not the only one to suffer. Because she's referring to her PTSD
Right.
that I accused the show of forgetting about
Right.
last week. Well, they remembered this week.
Yes.
But Kev tells her that addiction is self-inflicted, so it's different.
Right, yeah. And she's like, I wasn't even talking about that. I was talking about the PTSD, which is not self-inflicted.
Abby storms out
Fuck you, Kev. Seriously.
as Kev continues to shout her, "That's right, run away like you always do." Abby goes to the garage where Tyrone is hiding. They agree that Kev is probably regretting what he said already. Tyrone says he has always looked up to Kev. Dear God, Tyrone, what's wrong with you?
You're taller than he is. You look down on him.
Tyrone reckons it's like he wants everyone to hate him. Abby reckons that she's about at the end of her tether. So, Ty goes to see Kev. Says that he can take getting punched in the face occasionally by him. But Abby will leave him if he keeps at this, and the kids will go with her. Oddly, Kev seems
mine, though. That's not how kids work, Kev.
Kev seems put out because Dev went to India without saying cheerio. Where did that come from?
That was so out of left field. He's like, Dev left for India and without so much as a goodbye and hasn't asked me how I'm doing or feeling. And it's like, but everybody else has asked you how you're doing and how you're feeling, and you bite their heads off.
Mm-hmm.
What's so special about Dev? I mean, I know what I personally find special about Dev.
Sure.
But
This is kiwis. These hairy kiwis.
But why does Kev have something special about Dev? Is it the V? Is it because they rhyme?
Kev and Dev
Kev and Dev.
together at last. Maybe.
Together at last. Of
Ty
course,
takes-
Kev only has one kiwi now.
We shouldn't laugh.
No, I mean, I suppose we can because this character's an asshole. But it's because he's an asshole, not because he has testicular cancer.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Kev reckons it'll be dead inside 6 months.
Good.
With Todd fixing his makeup. Ty takes the piss out of Kev about his fucking makeup and they end up chuckling together. Ty tells him to talk to Abby about how he really feels, but it sounds like Kev's quite looking forward to dying. But later, when Abby comes home, Kev's crying and they hug. It did sound like...
Run away, Abby. Run away.
It did sound like he was looking forward to the rest that he would get from
Being dead.
sweet, sweet death.
Yes, the sweet rest of death. The nap you never wake up from.
We will return to this storyline later, but...
Yeah. It's so confusing, though, because... Like, we should never praise the show for anything, because every time we praise them, they go in the complete opposite direction.
Of course.
So there's that. And then it's just... I don't feel like anybody is getting anything out of seeing Kev rage and stomp around and emotionally and verbally abuse his wife over and over and over again.
Which he is no stranger at doing at the best of times.
Correct. Who is this helping? Who is this helping? Does the testicular cancer charity have any notes as far as what men emotionally go through during this time, where they would say, yes, it's good and important to show this man verbally and emotionally abusing his wife. That's exactly what happens.
This is the stage that he's at. This is what happens when you're at this stage. I don't know. It's in Kev's character to be like this because, as we've just agreed, he's like this without the cancer.
Right,
and
yeah.
Tyrone said as much, and Abby can agree with it.
But it's not helping, you know? It's not interesting.
No, it isn't
It's
helping.
making the character less interesting. It was far more interesting when he kind of accepted it and was willing to kind of have a little bit of gallows humor about it and willing to talk to his friends about it. That was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
This is not.
No, seeing Kev punch someone again See,
Yes, but let's not forget, it was kind of a punchy week.
it was a potential male violence week,
Yeah.
certainly.
Well, and then Abby.
Oh, it wasn't a punch. It was a mere.
It was a
It
slap.
was a mere waft, or whatever it was that she said. But
Yeah.
we will get to that. I agree. I think it was more interesting at the start of the storyline than what it's eventually become. It is in keeping, unfortunately, with Kev's character, but it's so dull and repetitive. The way that it ends on Monday with Kev crying into Abby's jumper or whatever does not set you up for how it begins on Wednesday. You think, okay, we've turned a corner here. Like when Abby turned a corner, she proper turned a corner.
Yes.
Although she says this week that she's still kind of struggling with things on and off, but
Which is good. I mean, it's not good, but it's realistic.
believable, yeah.
It's good that they're not forgetting this.
right. Okay, we'll come back to this. But in the meantime, let's move on to Theo's vests. On Monday, Todd is down in the dumps with the Theo situation and explains to Eileen and Jill about getting messed around. He needs someone who knows what they want for a change. On his way to work, Theo is outside and Todd gives him a body swerve. Theo has changed his tune again, apologises for yesterday, and wants to try again. Todd is the most amazing thing that has happened to him lately, and this melts Todd. And they go back to his for more outrageous sex.
And also, you know, Todd's always horny, so it's good.
And after the sex, as they come down the stairs,
The coming down the stairs
it's
is
coming down the stairs
hilarious.
after sex with
It's like the shirt.
bedraggled
Whoa,
shirt. Oh, my
whoa.
shirt's half on, half off.
Oh, my dear.
Because you can't fix that upstairs. You have to fix that as you're descending stairs.
Right,
That's
yes.
the rule.
Why is your shirt even on yet? Because I'm assuming you have taken your shirt off because it's unbuttoned. Mm-hmm. And then, like, what, in the bedroom, you do, like, the bottom 3 buttons, and then you just like, fuck it, I'll do it later?
In case you run into someone on the landing, always do the bottom 3 buttons, just in case.
Just in case.
Covers your bits. Theo gets a call, claims it's from work, and dingies it. Todd doesn't mind as he has to get to work himself, which is what I was thinking. Todd, you were on your way to work.
Yeah.
Those dead people aren't going to bury themselves. Literally. At work, a young woman comes in to organise her mother's funeral.
Wait. So Todd arrives at work, and
That's what I'm saying.
but you've jumped to the young woman.
Yeah, Todd doesn't mind he's got to get to work himself.
Right.
So off he goes.
And then while he's at work,
So that's what you interrupt me for. So while at work,
yeah. And after he's gotten a lashing from George for making him miss lunch, even though he's eating a sandwich. Mm-hmm. Which was funny.
I didn't find that important. Sorry.
Sorry, this funny banter here between George and Todd and sandwiches. Sandwiches are always important.
I will make a note. Starting next week.
And while you're at it, make me a sandwich.
At work, a young woman comes in to organise her mother's funeral. She's very upset, but George puts her at ease as she calls someone to come sit with her as they go through the arrangements. So, as they go through the formalities, the woman's companion comes in and blow me down with a feather. It's her husband. It's Theo. Holy fucking obvious twist, Batman.
And it's hilarious the way George is looking up at him and recognizing him. And like the look in George's eyes was like, oh, Todd, there's another fine mess you've gotten me into, sir.
Privately, Theo says he can explain as soon as he can get away. Todd says he knows what marriage is, and so there's no explanations required.
I know what marriage is. We're allowed to do that now.
Back home, Todd brings Billy up to speed about all this, and Billy's advice is to steer well clear of a man who was a proven liar.
And
Then-
Billy is completely white now. He looks like a very svelte Santa Claus now.
He only comes once a year, but when he does, he fills your boots. There's a knock at Todd's back door,
But not like that.
and Theo comes in, all apologies,
Not like that.
and shocked to see Billy. Billy leaves him to it. Theo explains that he got married 19 years ago and has always felt like he was gay, but has never had the guts to admit it or do anything about it. Todd has been his first experience. Todd promises not to say anything to Theo's wife, but later when George mentions the scaffolder's wife's mum that's dying, Eileen looks like she might know what's up with Todd.
Yes.
So George does know. George knows that he's the scaffolder
Right.
because they've spoken.
Yes.
But does he know that Todd bonked him?
I think he knows that Todd fancies him. I don't think anybody knows that he bonked him.
Right, that's been kept secret.
Right, because remember they came in the front door while Theo was running out the back door, but not like that. He only comes
there we
in
go.
the back door.
This is getting overloaded with double entendre. I don't know where I'm going to put it all.
But not like that.
Here we go. This is what you're paying your money for, folks.
Yes. The good stuff.
So, on Friday, Sean drops into Eileen's and immediately learns about Todd's love woes. Todd's not in the mood for this, or Sean, and changes the subject to bucket lists, specifically Julie's bucket list. She's already seen the Northern Lights, though. Todd reckons that they can use the situation to get some donations from people, and Julie would like to see the stars in the Serengeti or something, so Todd gets on to arrange that.
Right. And Sean wants a t-shirt that says, "Nah."
That was kind of funny.
Nah.
And then they
And then they're like,
discuss how
how
to
do you
spell it.
spell nah?
While Todd wants to rip his eyes out. Theo arrives for a word with Todd in the pub, and he wants Todd's promise that he's not going to make a scene at his mother-in-law's funeral. It's like, what the fuck?
Who do you think?
Get off coming in telling me what to do, pal.
Right. Seriously.
You're the one that's secretly gay.
Right. Yeah.
You maybe want to keep me
What
happy
do you-
here.
What do you think gay men are? Do you think they're all like Nathan Lane in The Birdcage?
Harvey Firestein.
Yes. Who's Robin Williams' brother in Mrs. Doubtfire?
Yes.
Yes.
They're not like him either.
No. So we both mentioned Robin Williams movies. Good on us.
Well done.
Rest in
Also, there'll
peace.
be no funny business. Todd tells Theo that his job and his dignity are all that he's got, so he needn't worry. And that's as far as we get with that this week. Well, I was expecting a secret out of Theo, but I thought our secret that we're going to get out of Theo was that he was new to this.
Right. And it seems like that is also the case.
But there's a secret,
Right. Yes, that he's married to a woman. Yeah.
which goes back to, was it Sean's beau from a couple of years ago? The one that was the dentist, I think. Did he remember Sean thought
No,
that
he was a bully.
that Sean thought that that was another guy.
Oh.
Sean thinks that this guy pushed his wife off a cliff or something.
Oh, yeah. Like there was a skiing accident.
Lawrence, it was Lawrence, I think.
Yes. Lawrence.
So we're just doing the Lawrence storyline again, I guess.
Only I don't think Theo is going to kill his wife because we've met his wife. Mm-hmm. We never met Lawrence's wife.
No, she was pre-dead.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, I'm very much in favour of Todd getting a relationship.
Yes. Todd getting his hole makes me happy.
I think anything that gives us more Todd is probably a good thing.
Right. I didn't even mind him with Billy this week. Because Billy is now Santa Claus.
Yes.
Yes.
Certainly fills your stockings.
Yep. He's got a great package.
It's the same joke, but I changed the thing that gets filled there. That's how
Right.
you get more mileage out of that.
Yep. And then I added a package.
There we go.
It's his dick in a box.
We get that. We definitely get that.
We do.
And I kind of like Theo as well. Despite the
Yeah.
fact that he's a liar and
And
I guess a manipulator
a
at some
cheater.
level. Mm-hmm.
and an adulterer. He's not doing his wife any favors either.
No.
And they've been married for 19 years.
19 years. he's been with
19
her.
years. Was it a child bride?
I think that's what you're suggesting, that from an early age, it feels like he deliberately got married as early as he could to try and keep this
keeps it.
this part of his life.
Fuck the gay away.
Just to fuck the gay away, pretty much.
If you fuck enough women,
If I marry
you'll
this
no
woman-
longer be gay.
I can't possibly be gay.
Right.
Probably the thinking.
Sure. But it's 2025. It's 2025. Haven't we gotten beyond this sort of story at this point?
I mean, I guess it's still relevant. But just because it's the society is more welcoming of homosexuality and I was going to say in all its forms. But I guess that's right. It's a far more accepting society, but it's still difficult for people to admit that about themselves.
Yeah.
From time to time, I guess.
The only closeted people I know are trans people, not your run-of-the-mill standard gay.
But if they're closeted, Helen, how would you know?
I'd know. My
Well,
gaydar works
there's
really
a
well.
warning to everyone. All right, we'll move on
Because
to...
I love the gays. And they
Sister-
love me.
We'll move on then to Sister, Can You Spare a Baby? Just a few scenes on Monday about this. Dee Dee's new best friend Sarah pays her a visit and Dee Dee tells her about the research that she's been doing. Clearly not on how a hysterectomy restricts your movements because Dee Dee's moving about like nothing's happened.
Yeah.
Sarah, though, urges her to rest. But Dee Dee points out that...
And appears to have lost all of the baby fat.
Right.
Completely.
Dee Dee points out that this isn't for revenge, but it shouldn't have happened. And later a nurse comes to visit Dee Dee, and after the pleasantries are taken care of, Dee Dee reveals her suspicions that this wouldn't have happened if she'd been listened to at the time. The
And of
nurse
course...
puts away her pamphlets.
Yes.
They're no longer needed.
And of course, the visiting nurse is the one kindly black nurse that we saw
Right.
at that time. So she's not confronting the people that she should actually be confronting here.
Yeah, but she's saying out loud
Yeah.
what her feelings are about this to someone who is a health professional. And,
Right.
And the nurse notably isn't telling her that she's got it wrong.
No. I feel like if it had been one of the white nurses, they would have notably told her she was wrong.
I feel like I got some correspondence about this storyline, particularly from someone, and I can't find it. So I have forgotten to add something to our feedback session, which I do apologise for.
There's more stuff with the baby, though.
There's more stuff for the baby, but that
This is basically all of the Dee
gets
Dee stuff.
round back into the Webster stuff. Yeah, see, this feels like an interesting storyline that they should maybe have put some more heat and light onto this week.
Yeah.
With it being fresh. I don't know that I always enjoy when some of the more interesting storylines get put on the back burner, but this certainly did. And then there was another strange little storyline that I'm calling Sick Quad Roulette. We've only got a few scenes about this on Monday, where Gemma's wig comes back from Freshco while Ches is hiding from Mick. He reckons Gemma's wig should hide from Lou, but she's already made plans with her. Ches convinces her to give her an excuse and give it a swerve. So later, after doing so, Gemma's wig goes to Nina's rolls, and of course she's caught out by Lou, surprised to see her there, as apparently one of the quads was too sick, and that's why Gemma's wig couldn't go out with Lou. Thinking on her feet, she blames Ches, saying that Ches is looking after the quads, but Bernie isn't happy to catch wind that one of them is sick. So you need to come up with better excuses for this sort of thing,
Right,
Gemma.
yes. Or, fill your mother in.
Right. Long story short, though, Gemma's wig is going out in the town with Lou after all.
And her mum.
And that's all that happens in that this week.
Well, no, because then they do go out.
Do you see that?
Yeah, you see the three of them, and then Lou goes to the bar to get more drinks, and Gemma says to her mom, see, she has a good laugh and stuff. There's not much, but we do see
Do
them.
you know how guilty I'm feeling for not mentioning any of that?
None.
Not at all.
Not at all.
Not at all.
Cool.
It's just an awful lot of filler on Monday.
Which is weird, because Monday should not be the filler day.
I thought so. We've got another filler storyline coming up. Stabby Dillon on the inside On Monday, Betsy's on the phone to Dylan at the Stabby Teenage College. Dylan sounds bored and says he's keeping himself to himself, and Betsy reads a lot into this, thinking that Dylan is getting a hard time off with some of his classmates. Betsy wastes no time in speaking to Sean about this at the factory, suggesting that Dylan is shitting himself at the STC, so Sean goes to visit him, checking on him. And Dylan insists that he and Brodie are now mates. Dylan sniffs Betsy's doings behind all this and says Betsy is a drama queen. Later, Dylan calls Betsy and tells her that he can fight his own battles and doesn't need her interference and everything's fine, so she should just let it go, okay?
Okay. It's nice that they're still friends, though, I guess. That Dylan has somebody to talk to.
So hard to
I
care
still
about
don't
any of this.
understand how they have phones in their rooms. Is that a thing in prison now where you have a phone in your room?
Maybe for kids.
And Roy.
Kids and Roy, yeah.
Kids and Roy.
Roy was on remand. So remand, I think, get treated a little differently.
I suppose.
What was funny about this storyline, though, and I can't believe I'm about to say
was
this.
Kirk
a
opening...
little bit of Kirk saying, do you know who I'm not going to speak to anymore? And I thought Betsy said death.
Beth.
But it was Beth.
Yeah.
And it would have been so much funnier if she said death. And then Kirk doesn't react and says Kevin Webster. So if that scene had been, guess who I'm not going to speak to anymore? Death. Kevin Webster. I think that would have been perfect.
And then he
that would have been a
opens...
shoo-in for moment of the week.
And then he opens her biscuits for her because she only has one hand.
Mm-hmm.
One functional hand.
Yeah, this arm is still not working.
Is it this arm or is it this arm?
Who cares? Who cares, Helen?
Is it this one?
Who cares?
Or this one?
Don't care about this. Don't
This
care
one?
about Dylan. Don't care about
This
the Stabby
one.
Teenage College. Don't care about any of this.
Except for the biscuits.
Don't even care about the biscuits. The best part of this was Kirk. That's how bad this storyline was, that the best part of it was Kirk.
Yeah, because you'd think he'd react to her saying Beth as well, and he doesn't. Not.
Why is he not speaking to Kev anymore? For his outburst in the
For
pub.
punching
Ty.
Tyrone?
Mm-hmm.
I guess, but he wasn't there, was he?
No. The fuck's this got to do with Kirk anyway?
I don't know. It's just the fact that he doesn't react and he's not sad when she says Beth.
Or death. All right, we're flying through this because we're coming up to our penultimate storyline.
Yes. Well,
Which is just other odds and ends. This is bits that are kind of left over from Wednesday and a little bit of Friday. And the reappearance of maybe my favourite character in Coronation Street at the moment. On Wednesday, Tyrone has been at a darts night with the lads in another storyline where they talked about their feelings while Eileen kicked the fuck out of them at darts. Tyrone mentions how much he misses Dorin. Well, he should have mentioned how much he missed £1 billion because when he gets home, Fizz is looking after Dorin. Dorin's back.
yes.
Apparently some bloke just dumped him with Fizz. And it seems that Alina's house is flooded and her mum's sick. And there's some other pish to explain this entirely unlikely event.
Did that child fly over from Romania by himself?
With a strange man, apparently.
With a strange man?
Who was going to London anyway. So Alina found somebody who was going to London anyway.
And just handed over her kid.
Be careful. He talks a lot. Imagine being stuck next to that
In an
for
airplane.
4 hours on a plane. Oh my God. No wonder he just dumped the kid off in Fizz and then ran. I love Dorin. But
Yeah.
seriously though, that kid talks.
Yes. In real life, we may not love him as much.
So while all this is going on,
It's nice to have a screen between us.
Yeah, Tim has been at a darts night. Well,
It's the same dark night thing.
Tim has been at a darts night with the lads in another storyline where they talked about their feelings while Eileen kicked the fuck out of them at darts. Tim seems to be at a low ebb, looking for something new to
Right.
to
To give
invigorate
his
himself.
life meaning.
But when he goes home, he tells Sally that he misses Faye, but loved having Mason around and reckons they should consider fostering other needy kids and make a difference. Sally wants to help, but isn't sure about the commitment of fostering it and thought, well, no, you should definitely volunteer, Tim. That's what you should do.
Yes.
And Tim's like, no, I think we should do it. And Sally's like, excuse me?
Right. Yeah. It's like, Tim, Read the room. Have you seen Sally's house? Have you seen how she freaks out whenever anyone sits on the sofa?
Sir, this is a Wendy's.
Tim, do you like doing the whole sexy nurse thing occasionally and the sexy mailman?
I think he does.
You can't do that with kids in the house.
No.
Ask me how I know.
No sex in a box for you anymore.
Nope.
Gimp Tim.
No more Gimp Tim. It's sad, really.
That's why he loved getting trapped in the trunk of his taxi that time.
Right. And that's why he wasn't bothered with, helping his dad out with his magic tricks when he was a young kid. It's probably where it all stems from, isn't it?
Probably.
It's from
It's all Tim's dad.
unresolved horror from child abuse from his father.
I'd say so.
Yeah.
On Friday, Tyrone is struggling to cope at work with Dorin, and with Hope and Ruby being assholes all of a sudden. Cassie offers to be their saviour so Fizz can go to work and Tyrone can go to work on his day off because Abby is chewing his ear. Because she can't go to work.
Right, because Kev needs soup.
Right. And then there's rolls Cassie and Steve meet up. And after all he's considered over the past few weeks and everything that Cassie said to him, he still wants to get his haul. But Cassie's been responsible. She's looking after Hope and Ruby. But then she decides to, you know what, just let them walk home on their own. Steve...
Or he's going to send them to the movies on their own.
Steve is that good. And he only kind of smells the sandwiches. See, I do take notes about some sandwiches.
Yes.
Rather than talk to Tim about it.
There are worse things a man can smell of than sandwiches.
Meanwhile, rather than talking to Tim about it, Sally's talking to Roy instead about the fostering thing, and he's very much an advocate about it.
Right, yes, because Roy has fostered many, many children.
Him and Haley.
Yeah. Yeah, and some of them we even get to see on occasion, like Fizz.
And Wayne. Remember Wayne?
I miss Wayne. Bring Wayne back.
What happened to the report?
The report. Dum-dum.
So, Sally kind of changes her mind about it, but as they're talking about it, an unminded Hope and Ruby waterbomb them in their backyard with
While
Ruby
recording it.
filming it for Hope's blossoming social media career.
I thought we'd forgotten about this.
I hate this aspect of
I hate it.
Hope and Ruby.
It's so bad. It's so bad. Stop it. Stop doing this because this
it's
is
cringe.
It is
so
cringe. It's very cringe. It is not demure. It is not the other word the kids use. It's not fire.
It's definitely not fetch.
It's not. Stop trying to make fetch happen, Gav.
The girls come home to find Steve in his underpants. What? They weren't meant to go out on their own, but Cassie wasn't meant to shag Steve in Tyrone's bed. So this is a Weatherfield standoff. And I'm thinking, is Steve and Cassie trying to have sex on everyone's bed? Are they kind of like this sexual Goldilocks?
Where does Cassie sleep in that house? Does she not have a bed of her own where she can have sex?
Does she stay there now? Oh, she moved back in.
Moved back in, yeah. And
why did I think they just obviously had to do it on Tyrone's bed?
I don't know. I suppose it's better than them having sex on one of the girls' beds, because that would be wrong.
Oh, yeah, that's dreadful. And I don't think Cassie's got a double bed. I don't know why. Sal and Tim show up demanding an apology, but Cassie doesn't think this is a big deal, and it's not like anyone was smoking a crack pipe. Tim tends to agree. No one was smoking a crack pipe. And so they go home. Cassie, Hope and Ruby think this is all hilarious stuff. It isn't. But this has soured Sally against fostering again. And she says to Tim that she's ready for retirement, not parenting in a digital age. She'd rather be living in France, like Gail. Back at Tyrone's, Steve seems to be about to dump Cassie again after... he keeps on dumping her after sex, for maybe the third time. But they soon make up, to the point that Tyrone and Fizz come home with Dorin to find Cassie dry humping Steve on the sofa in their front room.
Which was weird.
Tyrone and Fizz are appalled that
And
Cassie,
also cringe.
once again, has let them down. Dorin is very vocal about a jigsaw puzzle.
Yes.
While Tyrone does his best to talk over Dorin and give Cassie a row for all the shite that she's done lately. Cassie doesn't need him giving her a row in front of the family. Tyrone says that he's doing his best. Imagine if that was never enough, says Cassie.
Yeah.
That was a good line.
It was.
That was an excellent line. And
Yeah.
that's as far as we get with that this week.
Oh,
So Steve and Cassie surely are now somewhat girlfriend and boyfriend now, aren't they? Cassie said that they weren't,
well,
but they are, aren't they?
they're in their 50s. Are they really going to say girlfriend, boyfriend? They're in their 50s.
Man friend and woman friend then?
Partners?
I think boyfriend and girlfriend are
I don't know.
timeless.
Kind of gives me the ick.
Does it?
Yeah. Of course, I've been married to you for over a decade now, so I will never, ever, ever be someone's girlfriend again, which is right and proper.
And not terrifying as your eyes are telling me right now. No,
Yeah, it does kind of seem like, but now they're gonna try to hide it. Now they're gonna try to put the horse back in the stall. I think it's a little late for that. Hope and Ruby saw you. Mm-hmm. Now everybody's gonna know.
those children are far too young to see Steve in his underpants. Far too young.
I'm too young to see Steve in his underpants. It was kind of funny when
They are funny.
Cassie is drinking out of the world's greatest Nana cup and says, no, we all have to keep this other down low and don't tell Nana, and tapping the cup. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's funny how many people this week said how much Evelyn terrifies them. Because it's true. She's terrifying.
Yeah, Tim revealed that he's terrified of Debbie. I can see that, though.
Only she gave him a nice tip this week, so...
It was hard to hear what Cassie was saying sometimes because Dorin was screaming about the colour of his fish fingers.
Right.
It's so good to have him back, even if it makes no sense of why he's back or how he's back.
Have there been terrible flooding in Romania?
I don't think so. But even if there was, it's always flooding, isn't it? Bessie Street School gets closed down for flooding. Swain and Betsy have to move in with Carla because their house gets flooded and then never gets fixed. Or mentioned again, apparently.
Well, apparently there were floods in Romania in September with several dead.
Keeping it light, though, Helen. Keeping it light.
So I guess Romania is prone to flooding. So
Aren't we all?
I guess it does make sense. The fact that Pop didn't bring the baby over herself does not make sense, but flooding.
Did you call her Pop?
Yeah, because that's her last name. Pop.
Yeah. But it makes it sound like the kid's dad didn't bring him over.
No, that would be Pop Pop.
Double Pop.
Pop goes the
I'm
weasel.
just surprised that Lena's not dead. You know what fiction is like at
Give it time.
killing mothers
Give it time. She's in an Eastern European country that's prone to flooding.
and
Give
underwater.
it time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And her mum's not well.
Right. So 2 birds, 1 stone. Or 1 flood.
But welcome back, Dorin.
Yes.
Sooner or later he's going to say yellow again, and I'm just going to die happy.
How long do you think it'll take before he accidentally shouts a swear word?
I bet he's already done it. But what about the accent?
He has no accent.
And
He sounds American.
Just speaks English.
Yeah, but with an American accent. How did that happen? He doesn't even sound British.
Oh, I think it sounds British.
I don't think he sounds British.
I don't think it sounds American.
I mean, he is a little kid. And they all kind of sound the same. Although, if there's one kid on that show who very much had an English accent from the very beginning, it would be Soft Play.
Very much Harry. The
Yes,
first Harry.
The first Harry. Harry the first.
No, Harry the second that
Blonde Harry, not brunette for some reason, Harry.
broke into kitchens and just wandered through like a ghost that no one looked at or acknowledged.
The only brunette in a blonde family.
But so good to see Dorin in his cheeky wee face.
Yeah, it's so cute.
We haven't seen him for ages.
Mm-hmm.
In my blog post from a few weeks ago, after I was talking about was it J.K. or Adam from the Neighbourhood Watch podcast who mentioned who's happy in Neighbours at the moment, and that made me think who's happy in
Coronation
Street at the moment, and the only character that I could think of as being happy in Coronation Street isn't in the show at the moment and is half Romanian.
Right.
Because
and
that
2 years old.
Because that boy is happy.
He is.
He's a happy wee
all
boy.
the time. So nice. He's so cute.
Now, I seem to remember you getting a little bit tired of him and his yelling. But for the moment...
When you couldn't hear like what people were saying in a different storyline in the same room.
Which is going to happen again.
Very specifically. That was it.
I love it. Our last storyline then tonight is Fuck You, Coronation Street.
In the ass.
Back to Monday again. Ed has rocked up to the Rape Hotel with the baby that he's meant to be looking after now and leaves her with Debbie while he fixes a pipe. Ronnie comes
But not
up.
like that.
Ronnie, what?
Why
Fixes
is
a pipe.
why is Ed a plumber now?
He's just an odd job, man.
Yeah, you should have a licensed plumber though.
Ronnie comes along and tries to talk Debbie into going to the police about Mick, but she maintains that she has no proof it was him who assaulted her in the Ginnell and reckons that Ronnie is scared about potential ramifications from the tire slashing thing. Back at Dee Dee's, Debbie is dropping off some groceries and the two of them chat about the baby and Dee Dee's situation and the Mick situation, and at one point Debbie just zones out and is clearly not in the room. Her eyes are glassy and she's just staring off into the distance. And Dee Dee recognises this and calls her, and Debbie snaps out of it. Doesn't remember what they were talking about. Back at the hotel, Debbie is on the phone to the doc to get this shit sorted out pronto. And I thought that moment where she clearly isn't in the room anymore was just so chilling and so very, very well done.
Yes.
And kind of sets up what happens on Wednesday really well.
She very much resembled, remember when Mitch McConnell did that? Like during the speech?
Vaguely, yeah.
Yeah. It was dead on. She's having something that you've seen in real life where that sort of thing has happened. She basically does the exact same thing.
Yeah, you would think it's the easiest thing in the world just to stare into space.
Right.
But to stare into space with that emptiness of expression.
Yeah, the disassociation.
Was really well done and, like I said, just so chilling. And that really marks the start of it, doesn't it? That marks we really are going on with this. There's nothing else that's happening.
No turning back.
Despite everything that we've... And the whole of the Corrie fandom, it seems, being against this, we really are going forward with it. So on Wednesday, the first part of Wednesday's episode, the first 9 minutes, is Debbie at the doctor. But she's essentially speaking into the camera as she describes a catalogue of incidents. And we get to see some of them in flashback, things that we've seen already but from a different perspective, like the purse in the fridge. But things that we haven't seen, like she was screaming at Jack about being in a fight when Jack was being a tit back to her.
Right.
The doctor
called him a brat. That was really shocking to me.
Just seeing her shout at him was shocking. But yeah, the content
the
of what she was
used,
saying.
Yeah.
Just not her at all.
Ugh.
And not her at all with Jack in particular, who's the apple of her eye.
Absolutely.
It feels like we mentioned when that happened that we didn't really get much information on what this fight was all about. I imagined it was somebody giving Jack a hard time about his dad or something like that.
Or his leg.
But it seems that the thing that they were really holding back from us, rather than that information, was Debbie's reaction to it. I don't know how I feel about being kept in the dark about that, but seeing it, I was like, oh God, did that happen? Because we haven't seen that happen.
Right.
So is that her memory of it? And is her memory right about it? Because Jack hasn't mentioned it.
And it gives the whole scene where Kev is squaring up to Jack. It feels like it gives it a whole new angle because it's like Debbie who pulled them off one another. Mm-hmm. And, and then it's like, wait a second. You demonstrably just as bad. And is that why you were so insistent for them not to have this row with one another?
And then from Jack's perspective,
It's like, wait a second.
so everybody in the house wants to fight me.
Yeah. Or yell at me and call me names.
The doctor recognises that Debbie's under stress and is going through the menopause, and then there's the stress of Kev having cancer. And Debbie talks about collapsing in the ginnel, and she has to explain, or she doesn't have to explain, but she chooses to explain
What a ginnel
what
is.
a ginnel is.
Because she assumes the doctor is too posh to know what a ginnel is.
Let me just say how good the doctor is in these scenes.
Yeah.
The doctor is exactly who you want to be telling this to. And of course, they make out that he's private, that Debbie's paying through the nose for this appointment and stuff. This isn't the sort of person that you get in the NHS, seems to be the underlying assumption there, which I'm not too sure that's all that great. But anyway, it's good to see a doctor be as good in the doctor role as this
And
guy
listen.
is. Mm-hmm.
And not take offense with the stuff, with some of the stuff that she says back to him.
So she talks about collapsing in the ginnel and being scared of what's happening to her. And it really is a remarkable 8 minutes of Corrie and a really great 8 minutes of TV. The doc thinks that she had a TSA or a mini stroke, I think I
Yes.
hear it being called. But the other symptoms are giving him some different concerns. He doesn't think this has anything to do with her menopause, as all her levels are checking out and are normal. The doc asks some more questions and he probes her a little bit and then decides that he wants some more tests done, but Debbie pushes him to share where he's leaning towards, and the doctor reluctantly admits that he wants to check her out for early onset dementia, and Debbie finds this very hard to believe. The doctor says, look, you pushed me, you really wanted me to tell you, and I want to be proven wrong here, but based on what he's hearing from her, this is the conclusion that he's coming to. Debbie says that she can't have dementia. She's 56. She's a businesswoman and people rely on her. Her brother, her partner, her nephew, her employees. She's the one that holds it all together. But she pulls herself together after this, after blubbering a little bit, and thanks the doctor for his honesty. Back on the street, she grabs a bottle of wine from Dev's when she bumps into Kev, and they have a wee heart-to-heart, and he tells her that he doesn't know what he would do without her. So she goes for a sit in the community garden and is met by Bernie, who chats to her about how Debbie's feeling and what she's going through, and Debbie for a moment is unsure what Bernie's talking about until Bernie mentions Kev. Bernie comforts Debbie, who is about to share her diagnosis with her, it seems, but then she gets a call from the hotel and she has to rush off, where she tells Bernie how much she appreciated the chat. I thought that was another great scene with Bernie and Debbie together.
It redeems the other scene with Bernie, where Bernie seems to take offense that Dee Dee is not taking care of this baby, and kind of implies that Dee Dee has foisted this baby on her father unjustly, which is weird considering that Bernie is the one who had this huge talk with Dee Dee about the fact that Dee Dee was going to give this baby up for adoption, and how Bernie is like the one person on the street who is given a baby up for adoption, who remembers it and will talk to her about it and everything. And a scene that we really appreciated a number of weeks ago. Again, a scene we appreciated a number of weeks ago that the show wants us to forget.
Yeah. All of that.
Yes.
While all of this is going on, there's a darts match going on at the Rovers where Eileen and George, but mostly Eileen, beat the fuck out of everyone. So they secure a night away at the Rape Hotel as a prize.
I thought it was a free meal.
No, it was a night,
Ooh.
I think. Kev, Ronnie, Tim and Tyrone talk about their women folk and their feelings and stuff. And Ronnie mentions that he intends to propose to Debbie, but Kev's issues are making him delay that. Kev tells him to go for it. There's nothing that would make me happier than to see you propose to her, Debbie, says Kev.
Kev, who, let's remember, a month ago was accusing Ronnie of trying to fuck his wife.
Yes. Kev, you old romantic, you. He loves to see love in the air between his sister and the man that he accused of shagging his wife.
Yes.
So on the way out, the mood is spoiled by Mick's arrival on the scene, and he's goading Ronnie into a reaction. He's demanding to get paid, and he demands to get paid or he's going to go to the police about the tyre stuff. And Ronnie is provoked into a reaction and throws Mick up against the wall, and they start to fight, but is eventually broken up by Tyrone and Kev. Meanwhile, Ed, who wasn't invited to the pub for darts, is struggling to look after the baby and work, so he calls upon Ronnie with a new proposal. Later, Ronnie meets Debbie at the hotel and explains that Ed isn't coping and asks if it's okay for the two of them to look after Layla for the foreseeable. Debbie gives it a beat and then agrees. This will all be fine. And of course there's a scene where Ronnie says, "What was it that you wanted to tell me?" And Deb's like, "That's fine.
Yes, never mind.
We won't talk about that now."
Never mind.
Kev gets home from the darts night to find Abby stressed out of her tits with work and seemingly disinterested in hearing how he's dead sorry and that, and how he's been behaving lately, and she rushes off to get stuff for dinner. After the chat with Debbie, Kev apologises to Jack for being a horrendous twat and has bought him a go-karting extravaganza. For two, you can take a mate, but Jack chooses to take his old man once he's better. And you know what, Helen? He's even got Abby. Was it a bunch of flowers or a box of chocolates or both? I can't remember.
It was a bunch of flowers. The box of chocolates was for Sally from Tim.
There we go.
For forgetting to paint the fence and going to the darts instead. It looked like it was raining, or it had been raining as well. It's like, Sally, you want him to paint a fence in the rain? That doesn't sound like something that is smart to do, to paint a fence in the rain.
Or just go paint your fence, Sally. See how it works out. On Friday at the Rape Hotel, Ronnie scares Debbie out of a bit of a confusion because it looks like Abby has sent Debbie a picture of a valve. What's Abby sending me a picture of that for? And Ronnie's like, she's probably done it by accident. She chooses not to mention to Ronnie, but tells her bar manager that she's nipping out. Meanwhile, Tim is concerned that he blew the gaff with Debbie about the proposal because it was Tim that picked up Debbie from the hospital. And when he tells Ronnie, he's furious. Back at the hotel, Debbie is dealing with a not negligible matter of a new reservation system getting installed. That sounds big, doesn't it? We're going to change the way that reservations are handled. And we're doing that right now.
Right now.
When Ronnie bursts in and starts to propose, but she stops him. She says that she loves him, but she can't get married, and she says that she'll explain later.
She doesn't want to get married right now.
Ronnie, like her Rana, is crushed.
Yes.
Kev's back to being a miserable old bastard to Abby again because his anti-sick meds aren't working. This is good.
Or he's run out of them, and he forgot to get new ones.
This is going to shit all over his plans to go-karting with Jack, which I assumed was going to happen after they'd got the all clear.
Right, yeah, that's what they said.
Uh-huh. No, once you're feeling better, tomorrow.
Once you're feeling better. That's not tomorrow.
But he's even more uppity when he learns that Abby's agreed for them both to go out with Ronnie and Debbie. And then to make her day worse, Abby's at Freshco's and reverses into a handsome man's car at the Freshco's car park.
Is he?
Yeah, he's quite handsome.
Is he handsome?
Yeah, I think so. It's not exactly hard on the eye.
He just looks okay.
He's a good-looking man.
He's no Theo.
Well, no, but it's...
Or Ronnie. A little too skinny. His facial hair looks weird.
You done?
Yes.
Okay. Abby looks like she's about to knock his teeth out. Abby chooses to unload on this stranger all the events that have happened on the street in the last few years. Recommends a podcast with a brusque Scottish man and an allegedly high-pitched American woman who spend far too much of their lives talking about this shite, and then she punches him in the face. The handsome man takes it well and promises not to press charges for her wafting his nose, and they agree to forget about the damage to the cars. The only problem is that his car is made of wood, Helen.
Yeah.
It's got a wooden door and it's got a wooden roof.
He can't get his engine
It's got a wooden
started.
engine and it wouldn't go. Oh dear.
Sure.
Abby tells him to pop the hood and get his kecks off. Oh, as Abby,
But not like that.
as Abby mends the car, she dingies Kev's call, and the handsome stranger suggests that maybe after fixing the car, Abby would be interested in getting her home. Abby thinks about it for a second, but knocks him back when she gets another text from Kev, angrily telling her to meet them in the bistro after all, so she just fixes the handsome man's car instead. And the handsome stranger hints that he might like backing into her properly like that. But Abby, although appreciating the little change here, goes back to her car and forgets why she was at Freshco's in the first place.
Right. And drives back to her miserable, abusive husband.
So they meet up at the bistro
Who
later
doesn't deserve her.
with Ronnie and Debbie. And Abby's late because she nearly got her hold of that handsome stranger. And Debbie still hasn't told anyone about dementia concerns. And then when Abby nips off for a shite, who walks in? But the handsome stranger from earlier. And fuck me sideways to Sunday, it's Carl Webster. It's Debbie and Kev's unseen brother, who apparently there's no photographic evidence of anywhere in Kev's house. And Abby has shown no interest in knowing what her brother-in-law looks like.
Correct.
And her brother-in-law has shown no interest in knowing what she looks like.
Yeah,
This is normal behaviour.
absolutely.
Even I know what my in-laws look like.
Well, yeah.
Because you do. When they come up in conversation, if you don't know what they look like,
We have pictures of them everywhere.
you're kind of likely to ask.
Right. Even the ones we don't like, we have pictures of them everywhere. Yeah. Well, it's funny because, like, when Jack comes in later, he looks just as confused. Like, who
Yeah, he
is this
doesn't know.
man? I don't know who you are. I've never seen a picture of you in my life.
I don't think they had the greatest relationship as siblings, but you'd still...
Well, he's
Carl
significant.
must know that Kev got married.
Right.
Because if he knows that
He's got
Kev's got
cancer.
cancer, surely he knows that Kev's married. And,
And
has
maybe
maybe seen
seen
a,
a
wedding
picture.
photo.
Something.
It just seems
'Cause he
so
knows-
contrived.
He knows Abby and Ronnie's names. And he knows Jack's name. But I don't know. It's like the whole thing of, oh, well, we're moving to America, so you'll never have to see this baby again. And it's like, you guys use social media as a plot device way too often in this show for that to pass.
Mm-hmm. When Abby comes out of the Kazi, she practically shits herself all over again as she sees Carl, and Carl's giving hugs all around, and then tells Kev how sorry he is that he nearly shagged his missus, and also about the cancer. Carl has the chance to sleep on Kev's couch and knocks back the presidential suite at the rape hotel instead.
Yeah. And then Kev tells Carl Abby's story about the stranger who backed into her and everything. And it's like, Kev, this isn't even your story to tell.
Really isn't.
Why are you telling this story? And he gets mad when Ronnie butts in with, like, one of the aspects of the story. And Kev's like, hey, I'm telling this story. And it's like, you're not supposed to be telling the story. It's not your story.
You only know what Abby has chosen to tell you about it,
Right.
which isn't everything,
What
obviously.
What is wrong with this man? He's so terrible. I hate him so much.
Back home, Carl is loving this all a bit too much as he's teases Abby about what nearly happened. Abby tells him that she's counting down the hours until he's gone. And that's how we end this week's episodes.
We did not talk at all about Kit and Sarah starting to flirt together.
No, I
and the whole
couldn't even be bothered
and the whole
mentioning that.
Carla telling Jenny she's gonna put the Rovers up on the market.
I did take a note about that. Where did I put that?
I don't know where you put it.
Yeah, because the Carla thing was like, this is nothing that she hasn't told Jenny already.
Right, but she's like, this is it. This is the week I'm putting it on the market. You can buy it if you want, but
Yes, so that happened.
I have to pay Betsy back because this was her dead mum's money.
And Kit and Sarah flirted with each other.
Yes. So
There's too many little bits and pieces
that's
stories
gonna
that were
happen.
like really short. And
Finally. Remember when we thought that was going to happen months ago when Kit was first introduced?
Mm-hmm.
And they were kind of flirting while they were, planting evidence together?
yes. Couples who plant evidence together stay together. That's what they say. Do you know,
And then Ronnie is worried that Debbie is cheating on him. And his suspicions are further stoked when she leaves the table to take a phone call from the memory doctor place, which of course they're calling her at like 6:00 at night during dinner. So that's going to happen, where Ronnie thinks that she's cheating, And, it's going to be an angry confrontation, and which will finally get her to be honest about the fact that she has early onset dementia.
She didn't seem like she was intending to be dishonest about it,
No.
but just hasn't found the moment yet.
And yet, every opportunity she's given to tell him, she just doesn't.
Because her phone just doesn't stop ringing. She's the sort of person that enough coming to me with solutions. Quit coming to me with problems, because that's all anybody ever does is come to her with problems. You're all adults.
Right.
Start coming to me with some solutions to things rather
Correct.
than coming to me with things that I've got to go and sort out. So she's getting pulled from pillar to post about the hotel and one thing and another. And a menu and a chef that didn't show up and all that sort of stuff. But I do think that she's got the intention of telling Ronnie. She just can't do it in the middle of a foyer in a hotel, and she can't really do it at the bistro, and she shouldn't be doing it at the bistro. Although I did think that when they were all meeting together, that was going to be when she tells everybody. At the same time. But I don't think she's intentionally keeping it back. Although the doctor said to her, look, this is going to be much easier if you do tell your partner about it.
Sooner rather than later. Mm-hmm. Because then they can see the signs.
Right.
And notice them and help you get treatment.
Again, it's an awful lot to take in. And she only found out on Wednesday. But I'm almost sick of saying this about the show getting rid of Sue Devaney, a great character, a great actor, a line back to the past, to the days of classic Coronation Street. She's a classic Coronation Street character, and it's almost unforgivable that they're getting rid of her in this fashion. And we've said in the past that there are characters and there are actors who want to leave, and maybe given the storyline to one of them would have been the way to go. But seeing the show this week, I think I've just got to make my peace with this. And that Sue Devaney, if what we see this week has been anything to go by, is going to be absolutely knocking this out of the park. And maybe there isn't anyone better than her to do this.
She's very good at it. But this is not... honestly, any of the other women her age who are on the show who do want to leave, I think would be just as good, because Sue Cleaver is just as good of an actress, I think.
They're all good, but I just don't know that. I just don't know that it would be delivered as well as this. I think it would be good. I don't know that it would be great. And this is already a very emotional storyline. And the way that they're telling it, the way that they're choosing to tell it so far, I think is working for me.
I just feel like the show is so emotionally draining anyway. It's not...
Well,
you watch it and it doesn't... It's not entertainment anymore. It's just a Debbie Downer for the most part.
No pun intended.
No.
Yeah, maybe if there wasn't so much doom and gloom going on, a story like this would stand out even more.
Right.
In a more positive way.
Right. And, the fact that Kev has cancer, Abby has PTSD, and now Debbie has early onset dementia. It's like, is this maybe too much to heap on one family?
Well, I'm going to say that's just that family. When you look at the show in general, you've got Dee Dee, who had her hysterectomy, her unexpected early hysterectomy last week.
Right, but this is the only family that has 3 major illnesses in one family, is what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. And I mean, we have Ronnie, who is involved in both of these storylines, so is stretched a little thin, helping Dee Dee out. and helping to take care of Dee Dee while also helping to. And I don't understand this whole thing of Ed is like, oh, I can't take care of this baby because I have to take care of Dee Dee. Dee Dee doesn't look like she really needs your care, Ed. She seems fine. She seems too fine, don't get me wrong. But she doesn't want you hovering around her any more than any other grown adult woman would. But it's just, yeah, there's not enough Cassie and Steve dry humping on the couch.
See, arguably, I think there's already too much of that.
There's not enough darts games where Eileen just wipes the floor with every man there, and George could not be prouder.
And that was a very much welcome bit of lightheartedness. You've got so many people in the Rovers at once. You've got so many storylines that are kind of happening in the same little collection of scenes. Because you've got the Tyrone stuff starting, you've got the Tim stuff that's starting, and you've got the Kev stuff. So you've got all this that's working simultaneously in a scenario where there's a bit of fun going on, and Eileen is remarkably good at darts.
Yeah.
And more of that is you can't get enough of.
Yes.
What do you think of Abby and Carol, who are absolutely going to get their whole off of each other sooner or later?
Is it normal to proposition women who have just told you that their husband is dying of cancer?
That was the strangest part of that conversation.
Does that ever make sense? Does that ever work out for the man involved?
Oh, you said that he was pushing you away, though.
Yeah. He's dying of cancer. And I'm married to him. I don't know. I wish Carl was hotter.
I don't know why you've got it in for him. I really think he's a perfectly handsome man. And he's
related to Kev, so how hot could he be?
The banter between the two of them I thought was quite believable. And it was nice seeing
fun.
Abby
Happy.
smile, right?
Yeah.
So it was nice to see her smile.
Yeah. And it was nice.
And I'm thinking when this storyline was getting threatened, like, oh God, another thing for the Websters to deal with. But then I remember that I never liked Kev and Abby together anyway.
Right, yeah.
So go for it.
Please,
Just
by all
go for
means,
it.
split the two of them up. Is it weird that Carl looms over every other member of his family? Is he Jack's real dad?
Is he Kit's dad?
Because Debbie and Kev are both short people. And then you have Carl kind of lumbering in.
Oh, there's always the ginger stepchild somewhere, isn't there? I think that's definitely him. No, I'm far less against this aspect of the storyline than I thought it was going to be.
It's a proper soap story.
Exactly. It's a proper soap story, and Kev has been such an unbearable asshole with cancer for the past couple of weeks.
Even without cancer, he's the worst. The cancer just makes him more of an asshole.
This is a new low for you, Abby. Well, tell you what, Kev, you're about to find out about a very, very much lower low as far as you're concerned.
Right, yeah.
When you find out that your wife and your brother have been getting it on.
Right.
Not that that's happened yet, but it's absolutely definitely going to happen at some point.
Right.
Because you don't introduce this and then not do anything with it.
Right.
I'm far more concerned about Ronnie and Debbie than I am about Kev and Abby. I like Ronnie and Debbie together.
Yeah. And I don't like that he thinks that she's going to break up with him.
Yeah, that was an unexpected and unwelcome aspect of the Ronnie character that I don't think we've really seen an awful lot of, but the kind of fragile male ego side of him.
Well, and I don't even think it's really all that fragile male ego. It's just like, well, that's the only explanation I can think of for why she would not want to get married. And that would have been the perfect time for her to say, look, I love you very much, but I may have early onset dementia, so I don't feel like it's right to get married and you know, and be the albatross around your neck when I start to forget who you are.
She really just didn't want to say that in the middle of a foyer, though. And I think that's fair.
Well, she could have said, hey, let's just go walk into my office real quick so we can talk about this. But no, they have to make her late for a meeting because all of a sudden she's very, very busy and she hasn't got all day.
Because the reservation system's getting changed.
Right. And
which
it won't
is probably a big deal.
And it won't cost much, just your voice.
Well, that was the week that was Coronation Street. We've kind of zoomed through that because we're tired. But
In more ways than one.
But tell me, Helen, what was your moment of the week?
Eileen kicking the shit out of men in darts.
No.
Yes!
Surely not.
What, do you think it's Debbie finding out that she's got dementia?
I think the scene where talking to the doctor at the start was incredible.
It was very well acted, but is that moment of the week?
Yes.
something we
that's
don't
exactly, That's exactly what moment of the week's for.
Moment of the week is the moment that sparks joy.
I think we have different definitions of what moment of the week was for, and there's something to discover after 7 years of doing this. It's like the best bit of the week. Doesn't necessarily have to bring joy. It could be the saddest moment of the week, but if it's done really well, I think it's still moment of the week.
I did kind of feel like that went on longer than it maybe should have. The thing with the doctor. And maybe it's just because I really didn't like the whole point of view thing with the camera. Where, like, for most of those scenes, the doctor's just this disembodied voice. And then we have all these flashbacks, including flashbacks to things we haven't seen yet. So are they really flashbacks?
No, they're not.
Right. But sure. Let's give it to the storyline we both hate to the utmost of our core because it will take our dear Sue away from us.
That's our
Moment of the week.
your boring moment of the week.
Chesney complaining about traffic.
Chesney hiding from Mick, I thought was pretty dull.
Well, it's
Fucking grow up, Chesney.
no, it's Chesney telling Gemma she can't stay out late because he wants to be on the turnpike, although it's not called the turnpike there.
No, it's just a road. I just want to be on the road.
No, it's like a particular interstate there
It's not an interstate either.
because you don't have states.
It's just a motorway.
You don't have states. He wants to get on the motorway because it's like a parking lot at 7 o'clock in the morning.
That's true. The M62 is just the biggest parking lot. It's not a parking lot. It's a car park in the northwest. That's our
Boring moment of the week.
Reminded me of you, Chesney, wanting to get on the road at an ungodly hour.
Hey, just because it's boring doesn't mean to say it's not right. Well, I gave you the week off last week, but it's back.
Yay!
Boo!
This is the section of the show, our non-scientific Twitter poll, where I ask our Twitter followers what they thought of the show this week. Was it yay? Was it meh? Or was it zzz? And according to our Twitter followers this week, the show was rated zzz 23.8%, meh 37.5%, and yay 38.8%. So yay wins it by a whisker.
A nose hair.
Kiara and Zoppy Fitzgerald write, Dorin saved the week.
It's true. I'm surprised you didn't make Dorin moment of the week.
Oh,
Dorin and his thin chip.
a more Dorin heavy week next week, let's hope. We'll pick up a moment of the week, I'm sure. An upside down jigsaw was close, but not quite enough.
And a thin chip.
Indeed. What's your score out of 10 this week?
Well, it was better than last week.
Much better than last week.
But you know what? It does not spark joy that the best acted and written storyline this week is the storyline that we want to go away.
Yeah, I'm making my peace with that. I've decided. This is going to be a long year if I'm continually complaining about it.
And I never will because I'm an American and we hold our grudges. 5.5.
It's a 7 for me. I thought it was a much better week. And I actually quite enjoyed it this week, all things considered.
Nothing made me angry this week.
No.
It's always a good week when nothing makes me angry.
A lot of it didn't make sense. And a
No.
lot of it doesn't stand up to much scrutiny, but
No.
I quite enjoyed it. All right, let's wrap this one up then. This episode was brought to you with thanks to our friends of the podcast, Daisy, French Helen, Pickles, DT, Wendy, Noel, Canadian Helen, Christy, Shandy, English Victoria, Aurora Yvonne, Heather Westerfield, Russell Whiting, Jackie B, Brittany Porter, Laurie Anna, Tina, Stephen, Leah, Tara J, Fiona B, Canadian Jennifer, and Josephina Chingy. Thank you so much, folks. We very much appreciate it. If you've ever got an oddly thin chip in your chippy tea, write in to tell us about it, or just say it very loudly during a scene about something else on a TV show. We're the Talk of the Street at gmail.com, and we're at Corrie Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Threads and Blue Sky, or you can reach us the old-fashioned way, the Talk of the Street, P.O. Box 12, Eaton Rapids, Michigan, 48827. You can shout me and Helen a coffee or become a friend of the podcast by heading to ko-fi.com, that's ko-fi.com/the Talk of the Street, or patreon.com/the Talk of the Street. Check out voggle.co.uk for links to our merch store, YouTube channel and blog. And if you're so inclined, please leave a rating and a review on the iTunes of your podcast provider of choice. And be sure to check out our pop culture sister podcast, The List of Lists.
We're on a break!
Thanks for making it to the end of another episode. And we will be back next week with more
Talk of the Street.
The Talk of the Street.
Bye.
Cheerio.